Good morning, participants. A very warm welcome from ESCAP Energy Division to this expert working group. It's a great pleasure to have you join us. This working group has got a very long title, but essentially it's about progressing SDG7 across the Asia-Pacific region. And the focus of our discussion this morning and this afternoon is to examine one initiative of ESCAP, which is the creation of SDG7 roadmaps for the Asia-Pacific. So my name is Michael Williamson from the ESCAP Energy Division, and I'll be your MC for this opening session this morning. So to kick us off, we're going to hear from a number of dignitaries. We're going to start with the ESCAP Executive Secretary, Ms. Armida Salisa Alisjabana. We're also going to hear from the Honourable Minister for Infrastructure and Meteorological Services of Fiji, the Honourable Mr. Jone Usameti, and also from the Honourable Mr. Ganesh Prasad Dakal, who's the Ambassador of the Embassy of Nepal here in Bangkok. So, colleagues, without any further ado, allow me to welcome to the podium Ms. Armida Salisa Alisjabana, Executive Secretary of ESCAP and Under Secretary General of the United Nations. Executive Secretary, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Michael. Very good morning to all of you. Excellency Mr. Jone Usamete, Minister for Infrastructure and Meteorological Services of Fiji, Excellency Mr. Ganesh Prasad Dakal, Ambassador of Nepal to Thailand and Permanent Representative to ESCAP, distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen. I'm very pleased to welcome you to the Expert Working Group on Universal Access to Modern Energy Services, Renewable Energy, Energy Efficiency, and Cleaner Use of Fossil Fuels. Energy demand in the region has almost doubled since 2000, and Asia and Pacific continue to rank the highest among global regions in their energy intensity. It is projected that the total global energy demand by 2040 will increase by 30%, and this region will account for 2/3 of that growth. At the same time, the effects of COVID-19 pandemic have caused both energy supply and demand shocks across society, putting energy systems under great pressure. Economic disruptions also spurred by the pandemic are triggering widespread hardships to citizens, while tightening fiscal space has reduced the ability of government to ramp up investment in the sustainable energy transition. As we work together to recover from the pandemic, we need to support our members to respond to the long-term challenge of building back better. Accelerating progress on SDG7 on energy offers an opportunity to assist countries in the region to recover from the pandemic towards a cleaner and low-carbon future. In this context, ESCAP has added its voice to advocate increased ambition and investment in reaching the targets set out under SDG7 and the Paris Climate Agreement. ESCAP has been supporting its members in developing their SDG7 roadmap using Next Step, a uniquely developed energy planning tool. This initiative has resulted in 10 roadmaps being completed and several others under development across the region. Distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen, globally, the energy transition has been evolving rapidly, moving towards net zero emission, stopping investment in new coal-fired power plants, and rapid electrification of the transport sector are some emerging conversations in the energy sector. The number of countries committing and delivering a plan for net zero emission is growing. We need to prepare our region to embrace the realities of the climate crisis. COP26, which will start in 3 days, will add to the calls for action already being made in our region, and we hope it will lead to further progress in meeting the climate targets countries have signed up to. I hope this working group will serve as an opportunity to further strengthen ESCAP's support to its members in developing SDG7 roadmap, as well as to widen the scope of the energy transition, including net zero emission by the middle of this century. The SDG7 roadmap are not the endpoint of the collaboration between ESCAP and the countries that have developed them, Rather, we will be ready and committed to continuing our collaboration to ensure that the recommendations from the roadmaps are fully implemented. We must come together and strengthen solidarity for an inclusive, resilient, and sustainable future for all. I hope you all have a very fruitful and successful deliberation. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ibu Arbeda, for kicking off the process this morning. We're very grateful to you. Colleagues, allow me now to turn to the Honourable Mr. Jone Usamete, the Minister for Infrastructure and Meteorological Services of the Government of Fiji, who is also the chair of the last ESCAP Committee on Energy. So, Honourable Minister, you have the floor.
Thank you very much. The Honourable Armida Salsia Alish Jabana, the Executive Secretary of the UN ESCAP, Honourable Mr. Ganesh Prasad Dakal, Ambassador of the Embassy of Nepal in Thailand, and members of this meeting. It's a great pleasure for me to welcome you all to the Expert Working Group on Universal Access to Modern Energy Services, Renewable Energy, Energy Efficiency, and the Cleaner Use of Fossil Fuels under the theme Development of National SDG7 Roadmap to achieve the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development and the Paris Agreement. Achieving SDG7 is critical for each country, and indeed it's critical for the world, because it ensures clean and energy access to all. But it also helps put our energy sector on the right path to achieving the target under the Paris Agreement. And that is very timely now, because we know that our leaders are gathering in Glasgow at the moment. SDG7 is also at the heart of all other SDGs, and therefore achievement of this goal is important to ensure that the full suite of the SDGs are achieved. Transforming the energy sector in line with SDG7 is particularly important for Pacific Island countries and landlocked developing states, as this would reduce the reliance on imported fossil fuels. Fiji's energy transition pathway presents a complex and challenging task for policymakers, with our vulnerability to the threats of natural disaster and climate change, oil price volatility, small market size coupled with the unprecedented impacts of the COVID-19 pandemic. I am very glad to see that we have successfully developed the SDG7 roadmap for Fiji, which is currently going through our cabinet processes. We are expecting the cabinet's approval anytime soon, and our heartfelt appreciation to UN ESCAP for support in developing this important roadmap. The SDG7 roadmap for Fiji has been the foundation for the